I was supposed to be heading west. Just a random solo road trip, no final destination, no plan. Call it a midlife crisis, minus the life part. I'd been driving for about 6 hours, somewhere in the mountains between Asheville and Knoxville, when my GPS blinked out. No service, no Wi-Fi, no saved maps. Just static. I pulled over to the side of the road and stared at the little blue dot floating in a gray void. Then I looked up, and there it was. A side road I swear hadn't been there a minute before. It was narrow, gravelly, and half covered by overgrown branches. But a wooden sign, tilted and sun-faded, pointed toward it. Greymount, 6 miles. I didn't think much of it. Maybe I needed gas. Maybe I was just curious. I was tired of driving anyway. So I turned onto that road. That was mistake number 1. The trees lining the path were tall. Too tall. They leaned in over the road like they were watching me. I turned the music off because it felt disrespectful. Or maybe I was just spooked by how quiet it got. No birds. No wind. Just the crunch of tires over gravel. 6 miles stretched into what felt like 30. My phone battery was dying, and my stomach was doing that fluttery thing it does before panic kicks in. But right as I started considering turning back, I saw it. A sign. Clean. Polished. Brand new. Welcome to Greymount, population, 804. No bullet holes. No graffiti. Not even dirt. Just bright white letters on fresh green paint, like someone had just installed it for a Hallmark movie shoot. And here's the part that freaked me out. I recognized it. Not in the "oh, this reminds me of somewhere" kind of way. I remembered that exact sign. The chipped corner on the bottom right. The tiny slash through the W. The way the P in population looked smudged, like someone messed up repainting it and never bothered to fix it. I should have turned around right then, but somehow my feet didn't respond to that request. It was like they were forcing me to stay. Part 2. I turned around and observed. Greymount looked like one of those fake towns they use to film commercials. Perfectly quaint. Too quiet. Wooden storefronts, American flags on porches, white picket fences with flowers that looked too vibrant. And not a single car on the road. The first place I saw was a gas station. One of those old-timey ones with a sign that spins in the wind, even though there was no wind. I pulled in. Inside, it smelled like dust and coffee. The man at the counter didn't look up from his newspaper. He had skin like creased paper and glasses so thick they made his eyes look like they were underwater. I said, "Hey, do you know how to get back to the main highway?" He looked up. And without missing a beat, he said, "You're back early." I laughed nervously. "Sorry. I think you have me confused with someone else." He just kept staring. "You always say that." I paid for gas I didn't need and got the hell out of there. But everywhere I went, the weirdness followed. A woman watering her plants across the street waved at me. "Welcome home, Eli," she shouted, grinning ear to ear. I'd never seen her before in my life. At the diner, a waitress slid into the booth across from me and started chatting like we were old friends. She called me Han and said my usual was already cooking. I didn't even have time to protest before she dropped a BLT sandwich in front of me. Exactly how I like it. No tomatoes. Toasted bread. Extra crispy bacon. How the hell did she know that? I didn't say anything. I just ate it, because somehow I was starving. And maybe part of me wanted to believe it was all just one weird coincidence. But the illusion cracked when I looked out the diner window and saw my car pull up to the gas station again. Same car. Same scratches. Same bumper sticker from a concert I didn't even like. Behind the wheel was a very familiar shape. I squinted my eyes until I realized it was me. I blinked. Looked again. Gone. No car. No copy of me. Just empty street and that stupid spinning sign. When I asked the waitress about it, she just smiled like I told her a funny joke. "You've always had a wild imagination," she said. "That's what makes you special." I excused myself, went back to my car, and drove until my hands hurt from gripping the wheel. I just wanted to leave. I didn't even care which direction. But the road looped me right back to the same gas station. Every time. The sun started to set, and I knew I had to stop somewhere. My phone was dead. My brain was fried. I was running on autopilot at that point. I pulled into the Greymount Motel. You guessed it, rusty neon sign, flickering, NO vacancy light even though the parking lot was empty. The receptionist looked at me like I'd been gone for years. "Room 103, she said. "It's just how you left it." I didn't correct her. I just took the key and walked in. The room smelled like lavender and something older. Dusty books lined the shelf. A blue hoodie was draped over the chair, my hoodie. Same bleach stain on the sleeve. I walked to the nightstand and opened the drawer. Inside was a photo. Me. Smiling. With a woman I don't know, and a little girl who looked exactly like me. I didn't sleep that night. How could I? I just sat there in the motel room staring at the photo on the nightstand. Me, some woman I didn't know, and a little girl with curly hair hugging my leg. We looked happy. Not fake happy. Like actual, real life, warm Sunday afternoon kind of happy. I flipped the photo over. Written in neat handwriting. Greymount Days, July 6, 2017. The problem? We were in the middle of 2025. I would have been in a completely different state that year. I had bank statements, emails, even old Instagram posts to prove it. I never stepped foot in Greymount. At least. That's what I thought up until that moment. The next morning, I walked through the town square again. The air smelled like baked bread and pine trees, but it had that fake candle store feel to it, too perfect. Like a simulation trying too hard. People waved. Smiled. said my name. Morning, Eli. Back from your trip already? Your dog missed you. Dog? I didn't own a dog. I was allergic. I asked the barista at the coffee shop if she had any information on my so-called family. You know what she said? What do you mean, Eli? You and Mara used to come in here every Saturday with Lily. Same order every time, chai latte for her, black coffee for you, cookie for the kid. I left without paying. I didn't want answers anymore, I wanted proof this town wasn't real. I went back to the motel. Tried looking for my phone charger. Found it, already plugged in. Except, it wasn't my charger. It was older. Like, early 2010 style. My phone didn't even fit. Then I noticed something else. The photo frame on the desk was now a different picture. Same people, but this time we were at a birthday party. Me holding a cake. Happy 35th, Eli written in bright red icing. Except I'm 29. No birthday like that ever happened. Not to me. And yet, I remembered the taste of the cake. The wax smell of the candles. The sound of the girl, Lily, laughing as she grabbed my nose and called me Papa Bear. And then I realized, I didn't just remember the photo. I remembered being there. I bolted out of the room. I needed answers, real ones. So I walked straight into the town hall. It was old school, marble floors, wood paneling, a receptionist desk made of oak. There was a woman sitting there reading a romance novel. She looked up and smiled like she'd been expecting me. You're early for your appointment, she said. I didn't make one. She tilted her head. You always say that. I didn't know what I expected to find in a place like this, but I asked to see my records. Birth certificate. Marriage license. Property deeds. Anything that proved I didn't belong there. She printed out a form and handed it to me without even typing. Here you go, Mr. Langley. Langley. That's not my last name. My name's Eli Grayson. Except, that sounded wrong too. The file said I'd been living in Greymount since 2015. Occupation, librarian. Married to Mara Langley. One child, Lily Langley, age 6. I don't remember any of that. But the image of a dusty library filled my head, me shelving books, sipping lukewarm coffee, waving to kids during story time. I could feel the scratch of the corduroy jacket I apparently wore every day. Was I remembering, or being fed these memories? I needed to find Mara. The woman from the photo. I figured I could pretend, ask questions, see how much she really knew. The receptionist gave me an address before I even asked. She's still at the old house, she said, almost whispering. She never gave up. The house was just past the town square. 2 stories, red brick, porch swing. A wind chime danced gently even though there was no wind again. I knocked. No answer. I turned the knob. It wasn't locked. Inside, everything smelled like cinnamon and furniture polish. The house was clean, too clean, like no one really lived there, just visited. Photos of us were everywhere. Beach trips. Holidays. A Halloween costume party where I was dressed as a zombie and Mara was a witch. Again, none of those events ever happened to me. And yet, I could recall the taste of pumpkin pie. The weight of Lily in my arms. The feel of Mara's hand squeezing mine in the cold. I stumbled backward. Knocked over a lamp. When I picked it up, I saw a handwritten note taped underneath it. Eli, if you're reading this, it means you made it back. Go to the library. Don't trust them. And whatever you do, don't go near the church. I was shaking. Nothing made sense. I'd been here before. Why did I came back? What the hell was Mara trying to protect me from? The library looked exactly like every small-town library in every movie ever. Columns out front, a creaky wooden sign swinging in the breeze, ivy crawling up the bricks like it was trying to reclaim the building. It should have felt comforting, but it didn't. The inside was silent. Not quiet, silent. No humming lights, no air conditioning, not even the sound of my own footsteps. Like the building was holding its breath. Even the slight dip in the wooden floor by the fiction section, I remembered that. I remembered it. Which didn't make any sense, because I'd never been here. Or maybe I had. My brain was starting to eat itself. Behind the front desk was a locked door. I don't know why, but I knew the key was hidden under the third book from the left on the top shelf, The Catcher in the Rye. Just like muscle memory. The door creaked open into a long, narrow hallway lit by a single flickering bulb. The walls were lined with faded bulletin boards. I stepped closer, expecting old event flyers or maybe book club announcements. But that's not what was there. It was faces. Dozens and dozens of missing person posters, taped, pinned, overlapping. Some were handwritten. Others printed out on fading paper. A few were yellowed with age, their corners curling. But the names. Lily, Mara, Harold, Nora, Jonah. And Eli Langley. My face, smiling awkwardly. A photo from years ago. Beneath it. Missing since September 19, 2017. Last seen near Greymount. That was almost 10 years ago. I stumbled backward and slammed into a filing cabinet. A folder fell open, inside, clippings. Real ones. Newspaper reports from all over the state. Every single person from the board had gone missing over the past decade. One paper stood out. Search called off for local librarian Eli Langley, presumed dead. I ran to the back of the hallway and pulled open the metal drawer labeled L.M., and my face began to pale when I saw what was inside. There were files, actual case files, for people who weren't just missing here. They were missing out there too. That means the town is erasing people. But how? Why? And then I heard it, footsteps. In the hallway, with me. I ducked behind a row of cabinets just as a shadow passed by the doorway. I held my breath and peeked out just enough to see the back of a person in a long black coat. The coat looked wrong. Like it was stitched from mismatched pieces of fabric, each one twitching slightly, like they were alive. The figure paused in front of the bulletin board. Then whispered something in a voice like crackling paper. He remembers too much. I didn't wait to see what happened next. I ran out the library's back door, heart trying to claw its way out of my chest. The sky had gone gray when I finally made it to the diner. Somehow it was still open. Empty, except for the waitress from before. "You saw the wall," she said softly. I nodded. "Good. That means it's working." "You're waking up again." "Waking up?" I asked. "What does that even mean?" She didn't answer right away. Just poured me a cup of black coffee and slid it toward me. "They only let people leave when they forget. You remembered too soon last time. So they brought you back." "Brought me back?" "The town," she whispered, leaning in. "It's alive. It feeds off us. It gives them a perfect little place to live out fake, happy lives. And in return, it keeps them." "And you?" She smiled sadly. "I work the diner. I wanted to scream. To throw the cup at the wall. To run until I was bones and dust. Instead, I asked the only question I had left. How do I leave?" She looked me dead in the eye. "You don't. Someone must have done it," I said. "I escaped once, right? You thought you did. But you only forgot. That word again. Forgot. The only real way out," she said, "is to remember everything. The deal. The thing beneath the church. Why you left Lily and Mara behind." "What deal?" I asked. "What thing?" She just walked away. I lifted my coffee cup to at least have a drink in the middle of that mess, discovering a little note below it. "Tonight. Midnight. Church steps. Come alone. Or it takes her." I stepped outside. The town was empty now. Not silent, watching. Streetlights flickered. Wind whispered my name through the trees. And somewhere behind me, I heard a growl. Except it wasn't playful. It was hungry. The church stood at the highest point in Greymount, like it was watching the rest of the town, or containing it. Its doors had been locked every day I'd been here. Now, they were wide open. The steps creaked under me as I walked up. I half expected a mob, or that coat thing from the library. But there was no one. Only Mara. She stood by the altar. Hands clasped. Pale. Eyes glassy, like a porcelain doll waiting to shatter. "You came back," she said, voice flat. "You always come back." I stepped closer. "I remember you now. I remember Lily. The house. Your laugh. That dumb ghost movie you made me watch on our first date. But you forgot us," she interrupted. "You forgot when it mattered." The lights in the church began to flicker. Shadows stretched along the walls, pulling toward the front like they were crawling toward the altar. I didn't choose to forget. Didn't you? The air thickened. Breathing became work. Every inhale tasted like ash and static. "Tell me what happened," I said. "All of it." She stared into the darkness gathering behind the altar. And slowly, it rose. Not a creature. Not really. It was a shape. A shifting, shuddering mass of void, built from tattered voices and shredded memories. A mouth with no face. Eyes that blinked where there shouldn't be eyes. I stepped back as memories kicked into my brain. Back in 2017, I was lost. Literally. I'd gone on that same damn road trip trying to escape a breakdown. I wandered into Greymount by accident, bleeding from a fall, half-conscious. And it offered me a choice. "You can live here," it said, "happy, safe, with a family. All I ask is that you forget the pain." So I forgot my real life, my past. All to become Eli Langley. I lived in blissful ignorance, until the memories started leaking back. Until the cracks in the perfect life started to show. So I tried to leave. But it wouldn't let me. Not until I agreed to forget again. And every time I remembered, it dragged me back. Mara stepped closer. "It doesn't want to hurt you. It just wants you to stop hurting. You gave it permission, Eli. Again and again. Then why do I still feel like I'm dying inside?" The creature hissed, or maybe it whispered, "Because pain is how you remember." Every cycle. Every time I came crawling back. I was addicted to forgetting. But I had a choice now. I stepped toward the creature and said, "You can keep the town. But you don't get to keep me." And with that, I remembered my real name. My real life. My entire broken, stupid, imperfect, painful, beautiful existence. I screamed it all out, like ripping stitches open. And the town shattered. When I woke up, I was lying on the side of the road. My phone had 5% battery. The GPS was working again. I was bleeding from a cut on my forehead. I never talked about it. Who would believe me? I went home. Got a new job. Bought a cat. Started going to therapy. I realized it was just a hallucination, the consequences of sleepless nights. A really vivid psychotic break. Finally, when summer came again, I packed some bags and got in my van, ready for the best road trip of my life. The playlist full of the greatest hits of the 2000s, my cat sleeping on the back seat. But then, I saw it. A sign. Clean. Polished. Brand new. "Welcome to Greymount, population, 804. As I turned onto that road, a sudden thought came across my mind. The population never changes. Because no one ever leaves.